Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Karl Bryan. If you want to attract new high-end coaching clients, fill live events, and build a wildly profitable coaching practice where business owners pay, stay, and refer, you've come to the right place. In this podcast, Karl provides his keys to the kingdom for finding and signing high-paying clients and building the coaching business of your dreams. Here we go.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another excellent episode of Business Coaching Secrets with your boy Road Dogg. And of course, the reason we're all here, none other than Mr. Karl Bryan. How's the king today, sir?
He is fabulous. My Road Dogg, what's happening there, brother? You doing good, bud?
Doing well. Just looking outside. A little bit of a rainy day today, which is great. I love a little rain every once in a while.
I agree. Nothing more enjoyable than a walk in the rain, bud. And it's good for the trees, and the grass are all saying thank you. So there you go, including some weeds on my lawn that I need to go attend to at some stage. But anyways, that's another topic that my wife could tell you all about. But anywho,
I need to get that reminds me of my to-do list for today. I need to call probably the best named company in all of Canada, Weedman, today to get them in to take care of the weeds on my lawn.
That's a good name, man. There you go, Weedman. Boom.
Got people's attention, that's for sure. That's what it's all about. As you keep saying, eyeballs. When you see the Weedman logo, you're like, hang on a second, what is this? Especially with legalized pot now. Like that's next level right there, bud.
It is. There we go.
All right.
Let's back into her, man. What do you got for me?
All right. So where do I start here? There's always so many questions here, my friend. All right, let's start here. This is interesting. Okay, so the question is, when working with a new coaching client, what is the best way to work out how to motivate them? Oh boy, always an interesting one. I'm sure, Karl. I know that this could we could probably take some nuggets out of this for motivating ourselves at times. But how do you motivate a client?
Okay, so how do you, same way, motivating a coaching client, same way you motivate anybody, including your kids. But look, you got to work out. So I'm working with a new coaching client. I would want to work out, in fact, let me just steal, this is Tony Robbins 101. He would say that you got to work out their map of the world, right? Like what motivates this individual? And if you don't know the Tony Robbins world, which I believe that you should whether you like the guy or you don't like the guy, completely irrelevant. I freaking love him. I believe he has the best content in the personal development space. He would say this, and I think that you should understand this at a far higher level than I'm going to be able to do it justice. But so Tony Robbins, he meets somebody, and then it's like, what motivates them? And he'll bring it back to their core values. So you've got, see if I can spit these out: certainty, uncertainty, love and connection, significance. Okay, this is the one that gets you into trouble. The guy who's motivated, or the gal that's motivated by the red Ferrari, or the significance of it all, right? The celebrity, normally recipe for a unhappy life, quite frankly. But anyway, so that's the other one. So significance, and then you've got the the values of the soul, and you've got growth and contribution. But in the so you've got certainty, uncertainty, love, connection, significance, growth, contribution. And then the question is, what motivates this individual? You normally find entrepreneurs, alpha-type personalities, certainty and significance. If these things are driving people at too high of a level, quite frankly, they're going to be in a little bit of trouble as a general rule. I mean, hopefully the very clear one that you want to be driving your coaching client and yourself is love and connection. But quite frankly, I think you'd agree that that is not necessarily the case the majority of the time. Like I personally, like if you get to know me a little bit, like I grew up in a very chaotic environment. My big brother committed suicide. My mother then drank herself to death, and I got a front row seat. My family home burnt down literally to the ground. I don't have a photo, right, from childhood, etc., because they were all in the fire, obviously. But so the reality is I crave certainty, possibly at a level that's not that it's unhealthy, but maybe at a higher level than definitely at a higher level than most. So understanding that about me would help you with how am I going to go about motivating this individual is what I'm getting at. So understanding that, and if significance is driving them, again, this is a red flag on steroid. Like if they're way too into the celebrity, way too into the red Ferrari, like I said, again, a little bit of a challenge, and you want to move them away. Are you going to be able to do that and do that instantaneously? The answer is no. But this is going to, just ask them, look, what is it? What do you want? And here's a test for you guys. And if you've listened to me for a long time, you probably heard me say this. I ask you, what do you want? And then you answer immediately with what you don't want. It happens all the time. And again, red flag. It's like, if you're doing an advanced driving course, you go out and they have these orange cones all over the course, and they get you out there flying in between. The idea is to stay in between the cones. Well, they take you out with a lot of training. What happens is everybody's ramming over the orange cones, and then they take you in to do some training. And what they train you to do is that the reason you kept mowing over the orange cones is, guess what you were concentrating? You were concentrating on the orange cones while trying to avoid the orange cones, right? So when you do the training, they teach you to concentrate on the road in between the targets, the orange cones. And guess what? Everybody was able to go at twice the speed and get twice the results. So therefore, when I ask you what you want and you tell me what you don't want, you're accidentally running over what it is that you don't want. And also, when I'm working with a coaching client, there's a level of, you got to put some runs on the board. And again, what do they say? That strategy eats tactic for breakfast. But when I get started with a coaching client, I always go highly tactical initially, for the simple reason that I want to put a few runs on the board. Real simple. Always one eye on strategy, because you wouldn't want to get a short-term result to the detriment of a long-term goal and game plan. That would be, frankly stupid. So don't do that. But at the same time, just getting a run on the board. So I think it's pretty obvious. When you get a few runs on the board, you're going to, increase the level of trust, increase the, what do they say? Well, Road Dog, you finish every one of our podcasts with this: progress equals happiness, right? So a little bit of progress, and that's going to give you, what do you call it? A little bit of capital in the bank account so that you can go a little bit more strategic and, go for something, go for the home run and not have results for a period of time and still have your coaching client buying into what it is that you're saying. So not sure if that, how am I motivating a client? First, before I get started, I need to know what it is that's driving them. And some very simple questions like, so tell me, what is it that you want out of your business? If the answers to those things are significantly more, driven around significance, the red Ferrari, celebrity, et cetera, and it's not about their coaching clients, we'll meet a new coach and it's like, look, I want to make six figures and I don't want to have to work with my clients. Like I ask folks about the business model that they want to operate and they tell me how badly they don't want to have one-to-one meetings, right? This is a red flag and this is a concern big time. Because there needs to be something significantly more exciting than that. So that's what I'd say, Road Dog. Get a bit of a feel for the lay of the land. Ask them some pointed and very strategic questions in terms of what it is that they want. Get a bit of a feel for that, and then help them with refining it. Get some runs on the board, and then start working towards that long-term goal, which is hopefully about really servicing their clients and really kicking ass. Like, why is Amazon Amazon? Because they are absolutely obsessed at a level that is just blow your freaking mind. If you really study Amazon, they are totally and utterly obsessed with client satisfaction. And that's how they got to where they're at. But remember, they've also been at it for, over a couple of decades without deviation. So there you go, Road Dog. That's what I'd say, bud. That's how you motivate a new coaching client.
I'm still trying to figure out how Tony Robbins went into the future to listen to this podcast to steal my progress equals happiness quote.
I don't know, man.
I don't know how he did it. The guy's like, he must be some sort of, time shift kind of guy. I don't know. It's weird. It's like him and Marty McFly. I don't get it.
Powerful man. He's a powerful man.
There it is. There it is. All right, my friend. This is I love questions like this, because this is man. How many people do you think, just off the top of your head, percentage wise, how many coaches do you think actually crack six figures?
Oh, it's lower than it should be. That's for sure.
Like 10?
I'm going to say, look, I'd say it's going to be 80-20. It's going to be 80% hover trying to get to $100,000, and then the 20%. And like any market, Road Dog, right? 5% make all the money. It's the same in real estate. It's the same in stocks. It's the same in business. It's always the same. So it's going to be 80-20, and the 5% make all the money.
Because the question here is, what do you say is the biggest difference between a coach making $50,000 per year and a coach making $250,000 a year? I love it, because I'm curious, and I'm sure it has a lot to do with probably the first one of motivating your client and having greater success. But what do you think is the difference between somebody making the $50,000 and $250,000?
Yeah. Okay. First of all, you meet a coach. What do I say? That coaches can't sell, and then the good salesman can't coach, right? A little bit of a sweeping generalization, but not too far off. A really good coach really, really struggles with the fact that they feel like they're a salesperson, and that initially getting those clients. You got to get your head around that. And then, of course, the coach will tell me that, look, Karl, I get it. I'm an amazing coach. It's just, I'm good at this, I'm good at that, but I suck at sales. And then I say, oh, okay, cool. So you suck at sales. So tell me how, and you understand the importance of it. And they say, yes, right? It's not like if this was an unimportant part of the business, I'd be like, we got to go to your strengths, right? But the reality is, if you can't close coaching, you're never going to get anywhere. So I'll say, how many audios, how many videos, and how many books have you looked at, read, or watched over the last 90 days on sales? And of course, we know what the answer is instinctively, right? The answer is none. And then it's like, okay, you're never going to get there. But the bottom line is the coach crushing it, making $250,000 and above. You have got to be the best. You have got to, I just said it a minute ago with Amazon, like they are the best. Love them, hate them. It's completely irrelevant. What they have managed to do with the business is absolutely mind-boggling. And it's totally because they are obsessed with customer service. A business coach needs to be the same. In fact, a parallel, it's like, this is Warren Buffett, but he says about the stock market in the short term is a voting machine, and then the stock market over the long haul is a weighing machine. So think about the way that works, right? So voting machine initially, and then weighing machine ultimately. It's like, everybody, a lot of big players like Warren Buffett have pulled out of the airline industry, right? Well, this is a voting machine, and in the end, he may be right and he may be wrong. I'm going to go with right, by the way, because Warren Buffett is a smart man, and he does nothing by accident and nothing that's not calculated. But I would be amazed if, he's not right in the long haul. But in the end, he will be proven right or he will be proven wrong. And he has been wrong in the past, and he'll be the first one to admit that. And he could be wrong here. The bottom line is that right now, he voted very, very clearly, and then others have, followed suit. So guess what's happening to a lot of airline stocks, right? They're going in the toilet, actually making a little bit of a comeback, because I think some see them as a wonderful buy right now. But the weighing machine, what am I saying? As a business coach, a voting machine. So you get up on stage and you're amazing. They're like, oh my God, this guy's fantastic, or this gal was unreal. They buy from you. Well, in 1, 3, 5, are they years? Are they continuing to pay you? This is where the weighing machine comes in. I'm very proud. Like with our company, again, we've been at this for I've been in this industry for, better like decade and a half, moving on towards 2 decades, whatever it's been. Been at this, my company that I have right now for 12 years. We have had hundreds of people pay us our high-end fees for over 5 years. Had somebody pay my high-end fees for 12 years on the trot. Next month's going to be no different. That's not me patting me on the back. I'm trying to tell you that as a weighing machine, the results are in, and I can, be super charismatic and be really good on stage. And you could watch my webinar, my live training, my live event, and go, oh my God, I got to buy from this guy. He's fabulous, whether you do or don't. But in the end, the weighing machine has told me exactly, and categorically exactly how well I am doing. I think that is very, very powerful. So you've got to be the best. And then you got to be careful with, what makes a lot of sense. Like, business owners are, back in the day, you'd go to school and everybody said, oh, become a lawyer, become an architect, right? Like, you're going to make loads of money, right? And then nobody ever wanted to go into the trades, right? Well, now, if you go and graduate from school right now and you're in the trades, guess what? You're making more than the lawyer, right? Below it's completely upside down. And by the way, so now if everybody starts to go into the trades and everybody who graduates, right, is a carpenter, plumber, etc., well, guess what? It's going to go back the other direction. That will, right? So it's a little bit like, being able to see these trends and whatnot, being a little bit smarter than the average bear. And by the way, the best lawyer, will remain true is the best lawyer, the best architect, the best plumber, the best builder. They will always, remember, 5% make all the money in the industry, right? Well, that will remain true. So the trick is to, whatever it is you're going to go into, you've got to aim to try, fight, claw, and enter that 5% that makes all the dough. And when I say makes all the dough, it's not about the money. It's about the impact. It's about, again, it's a weighing machine. Amazon makes lots of money. If you know Jeff Bezos, he's not driven by money in any way, shape, or form, categorically obvious and no question. Because again, and the results, the weighing machine will tell you exactly that. If you look at his results over the last 2 decades, he's 100% long-term growth fixated. To the point where he will lose money. He will literally go underwater for massive amounts of time to lose money, and then pop back up when the others have run out of oxygen, as in money, which, by the way, you may love or hate that. If you've been involved with it, you hate it. That strategy. It's a little bit bullyish, quite frankly, but it's created an environment where they have been insanely successful. And over the long haul, the weighing machine dictates that they crush it. But I think that like this coaching industry, it drives me crazy. Again, it's leads, right? Everybody, they mistake lead generation, for coaching clients. And in fact, a lot of coaches, they tell me this all the time, Karl, I suck at lead generation. I suck at sales. And I will say this, and a lot of the folks listening have spoken to me, and I've heard me say this one-to-one or in a group setting, that if you're hurting in lead generation and sales, like you don't have the clients that you want, it's not a lead generation problem. Like with 95% predictability, it's a confidence problem. Your real challenge is that you don't believe that you can actually help the folks. You get shit scared about it, right? And here's another dynamic that happens a lot is the hot salesperson gets into coaching. They close their first 10 clients really, really quickly, okay? But they have challenges with those 10 clients and they're not getting the results that they expected, they wanted, what have you. And then guess what? All of a sudden, 11, 12, 13 are 10 times harder to get. What happened? What's the difference? Their sales ability didn't go. It's their confidence. Their confidence is down. So, okay, what's the solution to that? Pen, piece of paper, study, an industry like restaurants, landscapers, builders, photographers, whatever it's going to be, and write down 100 ways to go about helping that specific industry. And if you want an example of that, just go look for a blog post that I put up. It was an email that I sent out, which became a blog post on my magazine blog, where I wrote, I can't remember, but I'm just going to call it 50 ways that I would go about helping a restaurant. Okay, and without doubt, like you just go steal that, never speak to me, just take exactly what I wrote in the blog post, go help restaurants starting tomorrow. There's not a restaurant on the planet, including during these crazy times and them only being able to put X amount of people into their, into their restaurant, whatnot, but the restaurant will crush it. Like there's just no question. They will make unbelievable amounts of money. So you'll see what I've done for the restaurant, but don't just stop there and don't just grab that and then say, okay, I'm going into the restaurant niche. Challenge yourself to go and do the same thing for photographers. Challenge yourself to go and do the same thing for dentists. Challenge yourself and go do the same thing for landscapers, right? Well, guess what? You will suddenly, after going through that list and then really going through the list and research and, get books and search blog articles and, do homework on landscapers. When you get your list of 50 to 100 ways to grow a landscaping business, you'll be so enthusiastic to pick up the phone, send out the direct messages on Facebook and LinkedIn, and send out the emails to get this business owner on the phone. You won't be able to contain yourself. Like, that's how you get coaching clients. So think about it. Like, the bottom line, the answer is to become the best. I know it sounds a little bit trite and whatever else, but this is it. This is the solution. But I don't think people are willing to do the work. In fact, I can categorically tell you my experience is that people just don't do the work. And if you do it, like I said, believe me, you write down 100 ways to help photographers, you are not going to be able to wait to be able to get the photographer on the phone, or face to face, or belly to belly, and to help them. So that's it, man. But the difference between 50 and 250 is talent, and talent is the desire to do so, right? You're not just born, like professional hockey players weren't born with the unbelievable ability to shoot the puck, see the ice, and skate. This is something that hours and hours and hours of unpaid activity, right? Like Tom Brady, my boy, right? Road Dogg. I mean, the guy threw how long did Tom Brady throw a football before he started getting paid? And even when he started getting paid, if you know his story, right? Like, he was a very late round draft pick, on and on it goes, but he just, he's basically throwing the football for ages. His first contract sucked, and how he became the starting quarterback of the New England Patriots is just it's a case study in determination on steroids. So anyways, that's it, man. 50 to 250, that's the answer. And are you willing to pay the price, and are you willing to do the free work in order to get there? And it's like, oh, well, but I got a family, and I got kids, and I've got this, and I've got that. Like, I get it. So unfortunately, you just got to look, you'll have to wake up you'll have to wake up at 4 a.m. before the family's awake at 7 and get some of the best work done in those hours in the morning when everybody's asleep. And yes, you will lose out on some sleep, and and that could have health repercussions. So then be careful with that one. But for a period of time, give me a break. Believe me, I've gone, the enormous number of nights and weeks and months and everything else with a little bit of a lack of sleep. But I just, pay attention to it, and I go to, correct it. And you guys can do the same. Not going to go down that track. You get it. That's the answer. Become the best, and don't do your best. Do what it takes. So. Okay,
so I'm gonna just chase down a rabbit hole here just for a quick second, because I know you love them and you're welcome. It's not Tom Brady either. So when you're saying target specific things and just study them or whatever, when you're doing that, do you ever look at a minimum annual revenue amount for that prospect or that industry? Is that something that comes to mind or no?
Okay, what do you mean? So I'm looking to take on a coaching client, and they only did 150 grand.
Yeah, you're looking at okay, I'm going to study restaurants, photographers, or whatever, both poor examples in this case, but do you look at, like, okay, I'm going to target an industry that's going to have a minimum annual revenue of X as a minimum, or like, is there sort of a number that it's like, is that anything in your thinking?
No, you know what? The answer is no. And again, it's, look, give me somebody who's hungry, and I can get them there. The end, right? And remember, Road Dogg, let's say again, hypothetically, most of the coaches that are listening are going to be roughly $2,000 a month, 24 grand a year. Like, when you really break it down, it's just not a lot of money at all, provided they've got the right business model. There's a good chance that you're going to meet them. So the templated example I use, you meet a chiropractor, and he's got a pay-as-you-go model. Okay, well, this guy sucks. If he doesn't, the chiropractor needs a $5,000 unit of sale. And in order to sell a $5,000 chiropractic program, he's going to have a story. In order to have a story that's going to convert, there's going to need to be conflict in the middle of that story to disrupt somebody to say, oh, wow, I can see how this is a good idea. And then, by the way, they got to go from 5,000 to a 10,000, right? So in other words, you can introduce me to a chiropractor that only made 75 grand last year. If he only made 75 grand, I know he has a pay-as-you-go model, and then I'm going to come in and create a $5,000 program. Look, again, do the math real quick. If he sells 10 of those per annum, 10 of those per year, that's an extra 50 grand in his bank account, and I'm only charging him $24,000 to do this. And remember, once we do it, it's 24 grand that he's going to pay me for a year. But once he creates the $5,000 program and then the $10,000 program and above, he's got those for the rest of his life. So for me to go in and exchange $24,000 to put that in place, and not to mention all the Jedi mind tricks and getting himself out of his own way, and because he's going to tell me, well, nobody's going to buy chiropractic for $5,000. These guys won't even, all they do is bitch and moan about the $100 fees. Who's going to spend thousands? Well, because you got a terrible process and you're not concentrating on this and you're not practicing on it. And by the way, no, you're not going to just start a $5,000 program and sell it to everybody overnight, right? Like, this is something that you're going to have to work on. But provided we work on it, we get the right story, and we get the right conflict, we're going to be able to get there. So I don't care how much the chiropractor made. I'm going to be able to, come in and make the difference. And in fact, wrote a funny story. So back in the day, I had a gal, and I can't remember the exact numbers, but look, she did something like, she only just got started. Her husband was, kind of paying the bills. So she was kind of just playing around with a web design company. But I can't remember what it was she made the year before, but it was like pathetic, less than 10 grand. And I sold her a coaching program that was well over double her entire revenue for the previous year, and closed it on the spot. I remember this is with one of my very first coaches ever. And he walked out of there shaking his head, just going, oh my God, either you're magic or this is really easy and the process is incredible. And the reality was that I was not magic. It's just that the process that I had created was bulletproof. And he went on to sell an unbelievable amount of coaching. We had a very, very happy coaching client. So the answer, Road Dog, it's a good one. And, but no, I wouldn't so much. But okay. But that being said, would I prefer a business that did $1 million a year versus a business that did 100,000? And the answer is absolutely. So maybe a good example or case study for that is if you watch the show The Prophet, right? Marcus Lemonis. If anybody listening doesn't, you got to record that bad boy and use that. This is part of the training that I talked about earlier, where you need to learn how to go in and really help businesses. You're making a huge mistake by not watching not only The Prophet, but there's a lot of really good shows out there. Like Bar Rescue is one that I've got into recently. In fact, Road Dog, you put me onto it. And I really like that one. He just goes in. And again, and always watch those shows. You're going to see there's conflict all over the show. That is not by accident, and it is scripted with 100% certainty. But what do? Let's go back. The Prophet, he will go into businesses that are doing, large volume of business with very tight profit margins, because he knows he can go in there and make a dramatic impact quickly, right? So in other words, if you're not doing $1 million a year, your show is not getting accepted onto The Prophet. Why is that? Because he knows if you're doing $1 million, you've actually got, you've got some sales, you've got some revenue, so he can make some slight tweaks and ramp that up big time. If you did $10,000 last year, he's got to go and put an entire sales process in place, right? The marketing and then the sales. And that is going to be, significantly harder to do than to just go make some tweets on, some balance sheets and some cash flow statements and some income statements to say, okay, well, hang on a minute. Here are some tweaks. So, talking, just, one-to-one, apples to apples, higher revenues is significantly better than lower revenues. But that being said, beggars can't be choosers, and some business coaches just getting started, trying to work all this stuff out. Would I worry about their annual revenues as a foundational metric of who I'm going to take on? And the answer would be no. And if you can go in and you can help a business get from 100,000 to $1 million, and their XYZ business, let's say it's a mobile dog groomer, it's a landscaper, what have you, imagine the power that you've now got, because you can just go to the exact same business and, town by town, city by city, state by state, country by country, and help the exact same company fundamentally. It's not going to be exactly the same, but it'll be pretty damn close, and the results will blow your mind. So yeah, that's the answer. It's a gray, it's gray in a black and white question, but that's what I'd give you, Road Dog.
Okay, so hold on a sec. Now you mentioned the Cairo, and it's like building that package and doing, all of these things. Obviously, aside from time and sort of experience over time, like what do you say to somebody to learn these? I'm going to put quote to air quotes around this, advanced business coaching sort of techniques. Like, What do you say to somebody that's newer that doesn't have, say, your experience?
So if you're in business, it's not, where do you want to go? Like it's like basically advanced. If your business isn't where it ultimately, where the vision board says so, you're not going to go. Advanced techniques are not going to get it done. Let's put it that way. I can tell you with 100% certainty, it will be at least 80-20, where it's 80% fundamentals, 20% advanced techniques, right? So, and people are always saying, what do they say? Oh, I'm doing the best I can. No, it's not about doing the best you can. If you're doing the best you can, this is your problem, okay? The best you can has not got it done to date, and it's not going to get it done in the future. The whole secret is to resign yourself to do whatever it takes. So like, you go to a high-end mastermind, and there's some pretty heavyweights in this room, and we'll be talking about, just taking their business from, these guys are doing, 10 million and trying to get to 100 million. They're at 50 million trying to get to 100 million. You would think, I think that the untrained eye would see that and say, well, these guys must be talking about, where to put the red button and the color to do it. And, whether, copy doodles, like in the landing page, on the landing page, in the squeeze page, the box taking a red, creating a red border, like that type of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like high advanced. It's the basics all day long and twice on Sunday. Like we talked about restaurants a minute ago. A restaurant without a drink menu, if you introduce me to a restaurant and they don't have a drink menu, people are ordering the least expensive drinks consistently. Now, you turn that around, and that exact same restaurant puts together a drink menu. And by the way, there should be a message market match. Like you should understand the type of drinks that your audience like and respond to. And by the way, by doing some homework in other restaurants like yourself, in other cities, the same city that you're in, get a feel for it. You will find that a drink menu will bring on significantly more expensive drink sales. And if you understand a bar atmosphere, you know that the money that you make on your drinks is like hugely important to the profitability of the facility. So by not putting what am I saying? By not putting a drink menu in front of your business, in front of your patrons, is just asinine on steroids. Unfortunately, it's semi-common, right? It's not in the established, like the big, franchise type dealios. You'll walk into a franchised restaurant, you will always find that they have a drink menu, and on that drink menu, they've got some very clever drinks. Okay, there's a reason for that. You go into the local pub, and they don't have a drink menu. Like Road Dog, where you and I go and have a few beers, right? She doesn't have a drink menu, and it doesn't make any stinking sense, right? But anyway, so with that being said, and by the way, at those masterminds, like what is it? So if we're not talking about advanced techniques and where to put the red button, what are we talking about? It's just, it's things like productivity hacks, like how, you've got 24 hours, I've got 24 hours. How can we go about being significantly more productive? How can we go about leverage? How can we go about creating leverage? How can we go about creating culture? How can we go about motivating our staff at a higher level? And then again, when I put those things out there, you might think that they've got flashy and impressive answers. And the answer is no. It comes back to the absolute bloody basics always. And remember, business, look, Road Dog, business is just about solving problems. Okay, so again, what you want to do is you want to take your spidey senses and you want to send it into, basically problem solving, identifying problems. Okay, so get really good at taking your spidey senses to the challenge, and you could be blown away at the results you could get. Let me give you an example of this here. I meet a business coach, and they say to me, I want to be able to form a joint venture with an accountant. That sounds like a good idea. Could you help me? Okay. Again, what is the way you go about doing it? A, what is the problem? What is the number one problem that an accountant faces? This may or may not be the number one, but if it's not number one, it is up on the top three with 100% certainty. Here it is. The accountant wants business owners as clients. They get these business owners as clients. The business owners come to see the accountant 3 months after the year is over. because they need to get their tax. That means they have 3 months to get their taxes done, 90 days. So they bring their books in the shoebox, with all the, receipts and all that sort of stuff. They bring it in there, and then they've only got 90 days. They want to pay a minimum amount of tax, right? So they want all these flashy and creative accounting principles that they read about, or that their buddy, who's got no idea either, told them that they could get. And they want everything done yesterday, and they want red, rose petal type service where, as they walk into the office, they expect everybody to just drop everything, and they want to send an email, and they want a phone, and they want to leave a voicemail message and get a reply. And this drives the accountant nuts to the point where it literally ages them. And you'll find, like, if you meet an accountant for like 3 months of the year, the account's really 6, but for 3 months of the year, the accountant is so busy, they can't keep up. Like, it's crazy. They can't get home to have dinner with their damn family, right? So understanding that this is a monster problem for the accountant, okay? Well, what is business? It's identifying problems and then solving them. So this is how I get a joint venture done with an accountant. I say, look, I know that this is your challenge, correct? And they nod their head, or if I'm talking to them on the phone, they say, absolutely, how did you know? And I say, well, look, let me do this. I want you to send me, I have a solution to this problem. I want you to send me 3 clients, right? I want you to take me for a test drive. Steal that, guys, test drive. I've made millions and millions of dollars by using those 2 words. The same way when you buy a car, you're not going to buy it without taking it for a test drive. Well, when you sign up coaching clients and you sign up joint ventures and you're doing a lot of what you're doing in your coaching business, think test drive, test drive, test drive. So back to my story. I'm going to the accountant and I say, I want you to take me for a test drive. No one ever says that, right? Like, everybody's trying to get a hold of their entire database and to do a webinar and a live training or whatever for everybody. Like, get me everybody. No, I want you to take me for a test drive so that I can prove my worth. Here's what I want you to do. Don't give me your best. Don't give me your worst. Just give me 3 clients that you feel like should be coming to see you throughout the year, but they're in that disastrous group that just come to see you when the year is over. I want you to send me those 3 guys or gals. I will personally guarantee that they will come in to see you twice at a minimum throughout the year, probably 4 times throughout the year. A good chance they'll come in 12 times a year, or, they will be back and forth 12 times a year, like as in once a month, for the simple reason that I cannot coach a business owner if I can't see the scoreboard, right? And if I can't see the scoreboard, Warren Buffett will tell you, you can't tell the winners from the losers. So let's do that, and I will make sure that they're coming in, like I said, 2 to 10 times a year. It depends on their disorganization and my ability to, corral them. But I'll tell you in year 2 that they'll be coming to see you, at least 4 times a year, and almost guaranteed to be 12 times a year, because the better the scoreboard, the better the data, the easier it is for me to be able to help them, right? So I say, take me for a test drive, give me 3 clients. I guarantee that they'll come in here 2 to 4 times a year at a minimum, probably 10 to 12 times as we get going. And those 3 business owners will not fall into the category of the disaster that you've got every year where you're so busy. And by the way, if I do it successfully with 3, and I'm going to do that at a discounted rate because I'm such a good guy, but my expectation is, and my guess is, that you're going to want to send me an enormously larger client list, right? So that I can look after, if I could look after 100 of your clients and make sure that 100 of them don't end up in that grouping, this would be amazing. Oh, and by the way, accountant, you've probably already worked this out, but you realize when people come to see you 2, 4, and 12 times a year, you're now making 2, 4, 12 times as much money off that specific client or thereabouts. But they're well and truly doubling the takings and the activity of that particular client, and you're training them to come in more often and training them to spend more with you. So now he's got 10, let's call it $10,000 clients instead of $2,000 clients. And don't tell the accountant here's what most coaches do, and this is what not to do, right? Don't go to the accountant and say, I'm going to pay you 20% of everything they pay me. Okay, that's just stupidity. It's not going to work. And it's not that it's not going to work. It's just with ridiculous predictability, not going to work. So don't do it. You got to be better at, problem solving and identifying the problems and then solving them. So you don't say to the accountant, you pay me, I'm going to pay you percentages, blah, 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 blah. Because quite frankly, it's probably not going to motivate them. In some instances, they feel like it's a conflict of interest. So what you do is you say, you keep your money, I'm going to keep mine. How's that sound? But you're going to make way more money, and your clients are going to be significantly happier, significantly more profitable. Oh, and by the way, did I tell you about my software? You know, if you're one of our clients, you've got software, you know, add in some, you know, more impressive, you know, verbiage and whatnot. But what our coaches are able to say is we've got this, you know, proprietary software. We're going to be able to find our fees before we even get started, because we can find them $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. And by the way, Mr. Accountant, would you like me to walk you through my software? I'd be too happy to do so. And on it goes. But you see how that is not rocket science whatsoever. That is really, my spidey senses went to problem of my prospect. And in that instance, my prospect is an accountant. The accountant isn't necessarily going to be paying me money, but the prospect, you know, the accountant is well and truly going to be sending me people in the future. Another mistake that coaches make is they think because they're going to the magazine, the newspaper, the radio station, the accountant, the joint venture partner, and going to be spending, you know, sending all this money to them, they can't believe the audacity of the accountant or the joint venture partner who say that they're interested and then don't get back to them in a timely fashion, right? Well, the way you want to look at your accountants or your joint venture partners is, imagine you had, like, back to the other question, you've got like a $10,000 client or a $50,000 client, right? So I want you to be treating these accountants like $50,000 coaching clients. That's what I want you to be doing, right? Like, not treating them as though, you know, holy cow, I was willing to do all this and send you all this money, so how dare you not email me? And oh my God, right? Like, what would, if they were paying you $50,000, how would you treat them? Treat them like that, only even better, right? So bottom line is, it's just, you know, it's solving a, it's spidey senses going to problems and then identifying how you're going to go about solving them. And maybe I'll finish with this, Road Dog, is that the most advanced technique I could ever teach you, or not so much even teach you, but it's really something to show you. It is the same in war. It is the same in hockey, football, any sport, chess, debating, business coaching, business, the stock market. It is, what does Warren Buffett have over the others? What does Tom Brady have over the others? It's the ability to see the entire playing field. That's what I think that folks don't, you know, and I think anticipation would be a good word to maybe use there if you want to, you know, just a, you know, something to take away. But bottom line is the ability to see the entire playing field. There is no greater skill in life. It's, you know, even with the relationship with your wife or your husband, the exact same. So that's it. The ability. And okay, well, let me give you an example. I just mentioned the software earlier. So when I look at the coaching industry, I see folks that really, what are their hot buttons? When I say, what are your biggest challenges? They will say these three. And of course, I've done this homework. I'm not just guessing. It's one thing to use your spidey senses. It's a whole nother thing to go to your audience and flat out ask them and then see, or go to, you know, places on the internet where you can see a lot of your target audience using the comment sections and writing on the internet. Okay, well, you'll find that they will literally be, you know, putting the answers that, you know, your spidey senses, they're writing the problems into these comment sections like crazy. So what do I see? What's an example of the coaching industry that you might be able to relate really well to? Number one is I see coaches struggling to generate leads. Okay, the second biggest problem I see is coaches saying that I suck at sales and I can't convert. And then the third, a distant third, but frankly more important than the other two combined, times 10. The third one is my ability to get results for the clients quickly, right? So I know that those really three should be one, but that's never the way that it will happen in most industries, because again, people normally have their eye on the completely wrong prize. But it's lead generation, it's sales, and then it's fulfillment, we'll call it, right? Well, guess what? So I created proprietary software our coaches could use, because imagine if you were able to go to a business owner and say, I can find you $100,000 in 45 minutes without spending $1 on marketing or advertising. Or what's going to be coming in the 2.2 version of our software, which is going to be released here it's probably already released when you're listening to this, but within the month for sure, probably 2 weeks. But at the top of the software, it's going to say 197 million algorithmic or weighted algorithmic sequences to provide, to create your business roadmap. That's going to be adjusted a little bit, but you get 100. So imagine you're going to a business owner and you're able to say, look, let's get your business into my software. Let me run it through. And by the way, my software has 197 million weighted algorithmic sequences that it's going to run through to create the roadmap that we're ultimately going to use for your business. Like, who's not going to want to have a look at that? I would say you be challenged to, if you say it properly, and of course you got to say it with a little bit of mojo and a little bit of passion and a little bit of confidence, right? Otherwise you're not going to be. But curiosity is the ultimate sales skill. Well, who's not going to be curious to do that? But bottom line is lead generation. Our software, when we're building it, we're thinking, how do we solve these three problems? And then the second one is the ability to convert. Well, once we pump out this roadmap and we just found you $100,000 and we say, yeah, I know you understand this stuff, and now here it is on a piece of paper, but the reality is you knew this before I got here, you just didn't know the huge impact of it. You know, basically what we should really be doing is let me hold you accountable, let me kick you in the pants. And by the way, instead of just giving you a roadmap and wishing you luck, I'm going to populate this roadmap, and we are going to work together over the next 12 months to make sure that we realize these goals. I'll be holding you accountable, and we'll be having quarterly reviews to measure whether we did or did not hit the results, right? Do you think that might help you get the conversion? And by the way, also in the software, we've got $50,000 marketing turnkey. So imagine if you were about to work with a business owner and you had a $50,000 marketing system ready to go before you started, and then you charge $2,000 a month, that would be a $48,000 discount on day one. Do you see how that might help convert a coaching client into a $2,000 a month deal? And I would say, you know, clearly. So the software was designed to do that. And then thirdly, and most importantly, is it's populated. It has all the right question, all the right areas, and everything comes back to a numeric value where it's like, okay, if you start saying, do you want fries with that? Instead of being, you know, stupidly thinking that it's $100 on a Tuesday, you extrapolate those numbers out and show them what it's worth for a year, for a 3-year period, and for a 5-year period. So they now understand that, holy smokes, if I start asking this and it's worth 10, you know, it's 50, $100,000 over a period of years, this is probably worth reprimanding. This is probably worth training people to do it. It's probably worth developing my staff and taking them seriously and just making sure. And if I've got to fire my daughter and bring somebody else in, that's what I'm going to have to do, because ultimately I have an obligation to this business. And if she's something, you know, somebody who I can't reprimand and I can't convince her to do, you know, what's needed to be done around here, well, you know, tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars will motivate them, but $100 on Tuesday will not. You see the separation. So the bottom line is the software populates a roadmap to show everybody how to get the results. So the bottom line is that, you know, my spidey senses are up and I'm looking for problems in the industry that I'm involved in. And again, at it for, you know, approaching a couple decades. So, you know, basically I'm asking a lot of the right questions, right? And my spidey senses are up for, I know how to solve the problems that they have got. So that's where my spidey senses, and I'm not here trying to pat myself on the back in any way, shape, or form. I'm trying to show you, allow you to look into my psyche and where I'm looking at what I am doing in order to solve problems. You guys should be doing the same for your business, to get clients, and then definitely helping your clients do the same thing in their marketplaces. Because I can tell you the methodical approach that I just gave you with the 1, 2, 3 biggest problems that my niche market face, they have never taken the time to do that. If you do that, you're going to make everything significantly easier for them in the future. So there you go, Road Dog. That's how I would answer that one, brother. But advanced techniques, it always comes down to the basics. It's like losing weight, right? Like everybody's going, you know, keto diet, this diet, that diet. Look, just get off your fat ass and go for a walk, and then go for a bit of a trot, right? Get up a little bit earlier. Do it twice a day. You know, don't start by doing a 1 hour, you know, don't try to do what Road Dog did and do a marathon, right? Like, it's not going to happen. You're going to injure yourself and you're going to end up, you know, not following through. Just make it bite-sized chunks. Stop drinking Coke every day. Stop eating potato chips every day. It's the absolute basics. So when you meet somebody that is super healthy and of the right weight and whatnot, it's not advanced techniques. It's the absolute stinking fundamentals, and it's the same in business. So it's a great question, but it's interesting how it's just it's a misconception. We get high-end business owners get together. They talk basics. They do not talk advanced techniques. So there you go, bud. There you go.
Beauty. So just to wrap up, what are the basics? What are your spidey senses telling you? What's the one thing that a coach can implement and start doing right away? What's one core basic?
What would I do?
Yeah.
What would I do? What would I do? I'm going to assume that they are not accomplishing what they want to accomplish. Like, let's say they're at 85 and they want to be at $105,000 a year. I would get a pen and paper. I would pick 3 niches, call it restaurant, chiropractor, dentist, right? Everybody goes to chiropractors and dentists. So again, I use those 2 for you, but just grab 3 niches and go do your homework and come up with 50 ways to impact those 3 niches. And again, not just off the top of your head, go to Google, do some homework, so do this in a very real and meaningful way. And I think that would be as good a thing as you could ever do. And then the second thing, I'm going to put 1, that's number 1, and then I'm going to give a 1A. The other, remember, it's always about fundamentals. If you are a business coach and you're not making the money that you want, I guarantee you that within your graphs right now, you don't have a list of business owners you're targeting. So 1A would be, go get a list of 100 local business owners that you want to service. So what did I say? Restaurant, chiropractors, and dentists. So go make a list of 33, right? Like, go get a list of 100 business owners that you want to go and tackle. And then not just their names, but I want to have the names of the owners. Yes, this will take some effort. I want to have their phone numbers. I want to have their email addresses. I want to have a link to their LinkedIn account. I want to have a link to their website. And I would like to have an understanding of their business. Like, if you can grab a brochure, grab an ad, what have you, any extracurricular stuff that you could poke out there, I want that as well. So those are the 2 things that I would do. And if you don't have a list, don't expect to get the results you're looking for. And if you don't have the ability to impact these guys at a high level, which is the list of how you're going to go about, that list of 100 ways to be able to help the restaurant, the chiropractor, and the dentist, then you're going to battle. And that, my friend, just comes back to the absolute stinking basics. If you go buy a university book on business, right, those are going to be right in the first 3 chapters. They're going to be right there, right? Build a list and then know how to help folks. So there you go, Road Dog. That's how I would answer that, bud.
Love it, my brother. Awesome. Again, everybody, thanks for tuning into another awesome episode of Business Coaching Secrets with my boy, King Karl. And again, if you want any more information on how to build your coaching company, visit focused.com. Again, that's focused.com. And again, if you enjoy the podcast, please share it with an existing coach or someone that you think would make a fantastic coach. Again, somebody that loves Tom Brady or Tony Robbins or loves Karl himself. Of course, they're going to love this. And of course, if you did like what you hear, please go ahead and give us a review, because all of these podcasts, that is how they get ranked. And we'd love to get to the top of the hill on that one as well. So again, if you like what you heard, please leave us a positive review. And remember, folks, progress equals happiness. Make it a great day.
Karl Bryan built Profit Acceleration Software 2.0 to train business coaches how to find any small business owner more than $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra $1 on marketing or advertising. This becomes a business coach's superpower. So as a business coach, you'll never again have to worry about working with business owners that can't afford your high-end coaching fees. Check us out at focused.com.